"I wish to have a coat altered," said Holmes blandly. "But before I entrust you with it, I should like your opinion as an expert. You are an expert, Mr. Corman."
The man's suspicion relaxed a trifle at the word coat. There is no flattery to which a tradesman responds more readily than an implied compliment to his skill. "I make alterations 30 year," he said. "Always here, in Hollandby Court. Show me the coat."
"It is not upon my back at present," Holmes replied with an angelic smile. "But it belonged to a gentleman who, I am informed, sometimes did business with you. A tall gentleman, dark, foreign, perhaps Russian, who wears very fine evening clothes and plays the violin."
Corman's small eyes narrowed behind the pince-nez. "I do business with many gentlemen," he said cautiously. "If you bring the coat—"
Holmes, without changing his tone, drew from his pocketbook the square of black silk we had found behind the Queen's Hall. "Would you be so kind as to examine this?" he asked, laying it upon the counter. "The weave and the stitching interest me."
Corman picked up the fragment and turned it over between his stubby fingers. His expression changed almost immediately. "Ha!" he exclaimed. "I know this cloth. I know this seam. This is from a sleeve I altered last week."
"For whom?" asked Holmes, in the same quiet tone.
"For a gentleman," said Corman. "You think I remember every name of every coat? Ah!" He shrugged and pushed the fragment back across the counter.
Holmes did not move to pick it up. "You do remember this name, Mr. Corman," he said softly. "You remember it because you are a good tradesman and because you made a note in your book. Also because the gentleman paid you handsomely and in cash, and because when he left, you remarked to your wife that the coat was the finest piece of tailoring that had ever come into your shop. That is why you remember, and that is why you will now tell me the name."
Corman stared at him, his jaw working. For an instant, anger and fear struggled in his face. Then he spat out a curse in some unknown tongue and turned to a small ledger that lay open on the counter. "You think you are very clever, mister," he muttered, running a thick finger down the page. "Here it is. J. Markov, evening coat sleeve, 2 shillings.
"Markov," Holmes repeated. "Is that the name he gave you?"
"It is the name I write," said Corman obstinately. "And his address? Glory Street, number 12, 2nd floor, left." Holmes's eyes flickered for an instant. "Thank you, Mr. Corman. You have been most obliging."
He slipped a half-crown upon the counter. Corman's hand darted out and covered it with practised speed. "If policemen come asking questions," he said, fixing us with a beady eye, "I know nothing about any coat, you understand. I do honest business here. No trouble."
"We do not represent the police," Holmes assured him, "nor do we desire to give you any trouble. It would be a pity if your excellent memory were to attract the attention of less appreciative visitors." He took up the fragment of silk and turned to the door. As we stepped once more into the chill air of the court, I could not repress a question. "You moved him very neatly, Holmes," I said. "But how could you be so sure the name and address would be in his book?"
"Because he is, as I told him, a good tradesman," Holmes replied. "Such a man never trusts to memory when credit or reputation is involved. The writing in Orlov's dictionary, Glory Street, 2nd floor, left, was too close a match to be coincidence. The blackmailer, or his agent, must have given the address when he had the coat altered. Corman's little ledger has now confirmed both the name and the location."
"And the name Markov," I ventured. "Does it tell you anything?"
"Markov, Orlov," Holmes mused. "2 Russian names with the same ending. It may mean nothing, but I shall not forget it. Come, Watson, we have one more call to make before we return to Baker Street. Glory Street is not far from here."
Glory Street, despite its exalted name, was one of those dismal byways which the stranger in London seldom sees, yet which form so large a part of the city's underbelly. A row of tall, narrow houses leaned shoulder to shoulder like rickety conspirators, their peeling facades suggesting an air of decayed gentility. Number 12 differed from its neighbours only in that a smear of red paint upon the door jamb still clung, where some former landlord had attempted to improve its appearance. Holmes strode up the steps and knocked. After a brief delay, the door opened a crack, and an old woman's face seemed like a dried apple peered out.
"Evening, missus," said Holmes genially. "We should like to see Mr. Markov on the second floor left."
"There ain't no Mr. Markov here," the crone snapped, "nor Mrs. Markov neither, if that's what you're after. We don't have no foreigners in this house."
"Come, come," Holmes responded, holding the door with his long arm as she tried to shut it. "You underrate your own hospitality. A tall gentleman of foreign appearance has lodged here recently. He is sometimes called Markov, sometimes by other names. We have business with him of importance."
The woman's watery eyes narrowed. "You from the police?" she demanded.
Holmes's expression altered slightly. "We represent the law in a more private capacity," he said. "If your lodger has left his rent unpaid, it may be to your advantage to answer our questions. Otherwise, the official gentleman from Bow Street will be asking them in a much less agreeable manner."
This prospect seemed to alarm her. She glanced nervously up the stair, then back at us. "Well, there was a foreign gent here for a bit," she admitted grudgingly. "Markov, he called himself. That's true enough. But he went away yesterday morning, and good riddance, I say. Never no visitors, never no proper card of reference, just turned up with a bag and a soft hat pulled down over his eyes and wanted a room paid by the week. I ought to have known better."
"When precisely did he arrive?" asked Holmes.